Okay, this is a 2010 Toyota Sienna LE. This is the driver's side rear quarter window, it's called. It's a vent that pops out from the back, so you get a little airflow through the thing. There's a problem with this. The window is bonded along this U-channel. Put a piece of blue tape on here to show where the window actually sits inside of the channel, and from the factory it's installed with adhesive, and over time that adhesive fails. And if this window were open and not supported at the other end, at the latch end, you would see at the top here it kind of drops. It kind of separates from that hinge about, I don't know, maybe a 32nd or a 16th of an inch. And the problem that I'm having is when it drops that small amount, when the window tries to close, right at the top edge of this blue tape that I added on here, the window hits on this plastic molding on the car. And then the motor labors to try to close the window. And fortunately, I heard it when my wife was using the car. It just finally pops, and the window jumps up and shuts, and it didn't break. Some people aren't that lucky, and the rear window breaks, and I guess that's really expensive. So anyway, my fix for this is I'm going to remove the actuator connection from the window so that it opens freely. And then I am going to separate the window from this U-channel. Not exactly sure how I'm going to do that. Probably razor blades to slice into the remaining adhesive and just kind of use a heat gun and work it out of there. And then once I get it out, clean it up. I called 3M and got a recommendation for the type of adhesive that is correct to use to replace that. It's a urethane adhesive, and I'll put that in the notes on this YouTube video so you can see what I used. Okay, so what I've done now is I created a sling for this window. I'm ready to release it from the spot in the back where the motorized actuator attaches to it. So I just want to make sure that if the glass really can drop out of that hinge, which I don't think it will, I'll make sure it doesn't fall down on the ground. Separating that motorized latch in the back is not easy. It's kind of a little trick, and I'm going to put a link in the description below. There's another guy that has a really nice description on how to pop that little clip out of there so you can get that apart. So separating this window glass from the hinge is turning out to be kind of difficult. You can see that here. If I lift the back end, you can see how that would go back up into that little metal trough. I don't know if you can see this in the video, but right along the back edge of this glass, there's a bead of some kind of adhesive. Now here you can see it better right here. And the problem is that adhesive is broken up top, but it's still fixed in this section of the window frame. And so I'm having a heck of a time breaking that bead, hopefully without breaking the glass, so I can get it out. If I come up with any bright ideas, I'll be back. Okay, so what I came up with here is I had to come up with some way to get something between this channel and the glass that has the adhesive on it to break that bond. So I got some different pieces of welding wire. I think this is 16th or whatever it is. Anyway, I push that down into the channel behind the glass, and I tap onto it with a hammer, and gradually I'm chipping away at that intact piece of, or that intact strip of adhesive behind there that's holding the back edge of the glass. Alrighty, finally got it out. That was tough. So the way I finally did it was working inside the car. You can't see it when the window's in, but now that the window's out, a putty knife just fits in here, and you can see it slides between the glass and where the adhesive layer is. The adhesive layer is right along here. And what happened is this is black and this is silver. It used to all be black. And what happened is the adhesive pulled this black cladding or anodizing or whatever this stuff is. You can actually feel it's like a, I don't know, thick paint. I don't know what it is. Anyway, half of it's on the adhesive side and half of it's stuck to this side. So anyway, by working the putty knife down here and then coming in and tapping on it with a hammer, this was the bad spot right here. This took me like an hour to break this loose. So I don't know what was so great about the adhesion there. But anyway, I got the thing off. Amazingly, no damage to the glass. Just a minor little ding on the trim here. I can fix that easily with a pair of a needle nose and a cloth or something to not mar it up. But anyway, now on to cleaning the glass and cleaning this surface and see what it looks like once I get this off. So cleaning the adhesive off this glass is really tough. What I found works best is to take a pretty stout holder for a straight edge razor blade, use it like a chisel, put it here. You can see my plastic hammer so I don't hit it too hard. And just gently keep tapping away on this until you get all the adhesive off. You can see here where it's been removed. It chips off in little pieces like this. Takes a long time. Alrighty, got the big pieces off with the scraper. That worked pretty good, but to get the small stuff off, I ended up using this really heavy grit sandpaper. I don't know what this is, probably around 40 or 60 or something. And it's very hard to get the adhesive off of this edge. This back edge, I don't know if you can see how rough that is, but I was working on that with the scraper and actually took a tiny chip out of the glass on the other side. It won't show, but probably don't want to use a scraper along that edge. Just use the sandpaper, keep changing it, and then work down to a finer sandpaper to get all this off. The other thing is, I noticed there's no adhesive at the top of the hinge or at the bottom. The adhesive is all in this section that looks like it's white. I haven't quite figured out why. It seemed like the most important part would be at the very top where you have the most leverage and force to hold the weight of the window. But I'll take a look at how that hinge is constructed and see if there's a reason for that. So I noticed another thing that needs a little work. This is the hinge side of the window. There's the back end just to get you oriented. This rain guard, drain thing, whatever it is to keep the water from running down into the window is pretty firmly, why is this out of focus? It's pretty firmly adhered here, but you can see it's coming apart. Oh, I think it's trying to focus on the damn reflection. Sorry about this. Let's get it this way. You can see it's breaking away from the window, and what's going to happen is if this doesn't fit in the slot that's made for it on the car, it's going to prevent the window from closing. So I'm going to have to, I don't know, come up with some kind of adhesive. I don't know what they use to make that stick, but I'll come up with something to reattach that. Okay, I'm getting the window cleaned up to do some gluing. You can see I've sanded off most of the stuff here. What I really want to fix indoors is this rubber strip, I think that seals air. It's kind of like an air dam on the bottom of the window. That's come loose. I'm going to glue that on with super glue, cyanoacetate. And I also discovered that this attachment point for the motor pull, the thing that closes the window, is loose. A lot of people on the forum have commented that their window broke because this thing turned at an angle and then caused it to break. So I'm going to take this apart, put some Loctite on that, tighten it up before I put it all back together. Right now I'm just going to wash it all up. It's full of crud. Okay, another thing I had mentioned earlier was this, I think this is an air dam, this rubber strip along the bottom of the window. Both ends were loose, flopping around, and I figured the thing would fall off eventually. So I moved those out of the way as best as I could, slid a paper towel with alcohol under there, got it cleaned up nice. And then I did a little research and came up with this as an adhesive that should work because it says it's good for rubber and glass. Gorilla Clear Grip. So I can't say for sure it's going to work, but at least it says it's made for these kinds of parts. Okay, I'm prepping the window to put it in. I know this is hard with all these reflections. Probably hard to see what's going on. Anyway, I dry fitted the window into place. So you can see it's seated completely into this piece of metal. And I worked with moving it up and down to find where the best centering position is because that air dam thing has to fit in a little slot underneath. So I've put a piece of tape to mark exactly the location of the window. It's sagged a little now because I'm not holding it up in 3 places. So when I put the adhesive on, I can get the window back in the right place. Let's see, there was another thing here. Yeah, one of the things, I'm looking at the design of this hinge, which isn't really a hinge, it's just a strip of metal that gets bent. And I noticed that when I cleaned it out, the adhesive, there was really almost no adhesive on the side of this hinge close to my finger here that I'm rubbing my finger over. But all the adhesive seemed to be on the back side. And I think that's because the back side acts as a leaf spring to allow the quote hinge to deflect. And when the window moves in and out, it absorbs that motion. I'm a little concerned that if I put too much adhesive and capture the top edge of this hinge, that it's going to make the hinge itself too rigid. I tried looking at the other side, and it's impossible because it's a manufactured thing, and you can't really tell if there's any adhesive in there or not. Here's that leaf spring. Now that I've cleaned it all off, you remember from before there was black paint or maybe powder coating, whatever it is, all on here. I used an oscillating saw with an abrasive blade on it to clean out this track, and that just worked great. It just, especially down here where the paint had still held, so the adhesive was bonded to it, it just got right in there and ground that all out. So that worked great. You know, you can feel this with your finger. It's pretty thick. I don't know if the metal was just not prepped properly or if that's the adhesive did that or what happened, but over time the paint or powder coating just popped right off of that. And I think this, now that you can see this with the window off, I think this part that I'm pulling on, the shiny part, is the part that's most flexible. The only flexibility in this thing is right here where it bolts to the pillar on the car. So when you crank the window in and out, it's really flexing this short piece here and this short piece at the bottom, which seems like I can't imagine a worse design for something attached to a piece of glass. But anyway, that's what it is. Okay, so I'm prepping for putting the adhesive on. What I've done here is used wax paper behind the leaf where I have to apply the adhesive because I can't get in there once the window's in to pull tape off. So the wax paper will hopefully shed whatever splooge runs out of there down to here and then in this area, and I can clean it off. And then later, once this all dries, I can pull off this tape from the inside and pull the wax paper out, and hopefully it'll take all the mess with it. Same thing, on the outside, it's easy to tape off the trim and every place that the adhesive might get. And I'll do the same thing on the window so I can tool the adhesive with my finger as soon as I put it on and then pull the tape off so it'll leave a nice clean line. Okay, I got it in place. Prime the window and the track, and then put the adhesive in the track U-channel and a little bead on the back of the window where most of the contact surface is. You can see there's kind of some of that is splooged out of there. I'm going to let that dry just a little bit, tool it off with a gloved finger, and then pull the tape off. What I did was use my markers that I put on there to locate the glass and then taped it in place, and I'm going to let it set with the heat on in the garage for a couple days. Okay, hard to tell, but I pulled the tape off after I tooled it. It came out looking real nice. With all the reflection, it's probably hard to see what the hell you're looking at, but maybe I can get this tomorrow when the lighting is different. You can see it better. Why is that so unfocused?